Welcome back to Tip TV Finance. It's CEO interview time, and we're here with Robin Young, who's the CEO at Amur Minerals. The ticker code AMC, as I'm sure many of you will know. How are you today, Robin?
I'm good, thank you.
We're all freezing here because it's, the temperature's like 10 degrees, but clearly you're used to that sort of thing in your line of work.
Yes, it's a pleasant summer day for me.
Right, and it's getting a bit cooler out there in your sort of Siberia, that sort of a neck of the woods.
Yes, the nighttime temperatures at the site now are well below zero. We're seeing temperatures of -15. It's winter, it's starting to settle in, so we're just getting ready for our next field season.
But the news flow was that you were hailing a record, completion of a successful 2016. That's the end of your season now, basically.
Yes, we're done. We now have security component on site. That's all that'll be there for the rest of the year. But we were able to drill nearly 20,000 meters this year, bringing the total meters drilled to 60,000. So we drilled half as many meters this year as we had in the previous 10 years. So it's been very productive. It's been focused in one of the deposits, our largest deposit, the Molly-Croom-Conflangovi area. And now we've drilled out over 3,000 meters of resource on a spacing that's indicated for reserve definition. So we're quite pleased. It was a very successful year for us.
Right. And the big news is, call it a tie-up, a memorandum of understanding with one of the world's biggest nickel producers?
Yes, you're referring to the Jinswan company, and they are the third largest nickel producer in the world after Norilsk Nickel and Vale. And they have a comprehensive engineering, design, construction division. They're capable of processing concentrates and say if we would decide on an offtake agreement. And they have their own smelters and their own refinery complex. It's an amazing city. This is my second trip to visit them. And we now have entered into this agreement to specifically look at engineering, construction, procurement of our project site. And this includes everything from all activities at the mine, the road construction, as well as the construction of a smelter where we could generate a low-grade matte.
Right, I mean, a big resource requires a big investment, big cost to get it out of the ground. Does this mean that Amur Minerals has come of age, or it's reached a transitional point or an inflection point, let's say?
Yes, we are at an inflection point. What we are doing is we're moving more from an exploration-based company towards an engineering design company where we fully intend to have our plans and a definitive feasibility study done in approximately 13 to 14 months. At that point in time, then it's off to other financial institutions to determine who will fund the project. We have a phrase in the States, follow the money, and that's exactly what we're doing. Is where our focus has been over the recent months has been targeting China and its abilities to support projects in Russia as part of the Far East Development Fund. As far as the Russian Far East Development Fund is to develop that part of Russia. So there's a great deal of blending of services and activities between China and Russia, and we're there to take advantage of that.
Of course, you're near the border with China, so that's the other aspect that people may or may not have picked up on.
Yes, we're only 700 kilometers from the Chinese border. The nearest smelter is a Chinese smelter, and that's only located 1,400 kilometers away. So that gives us the opportunity to consider doing a combination of offtake agreement, and also the possibility of generating our own matte. So it's giving us a flexibility on construction schedule. We don't have to build everything at the very beginning. We can delay things such as the construction of the smelter maybe a year or two with possible offtake agreements. So right now we're entering a new phase of flexibility, and it'll be very interesting to see how we develop our relationships with Jinswan and any other companies that would be interested.
But let's say that one of the biggest question marks over at the company has finally been answered. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yes, it has. We know the project is big enough to support the development of the whole project and the associated capital cost estimates. We anticipate getting more detailed numbers out to our shareholders in the near term. hesitant about using near term because it varies highly from individual to individual. But we are at an inflection point now, and you'll be seeing a shift towards our activities being more Asian-based.
Right, finally, you came in, I think, with the first time here to TIP TV a couple of years back, and you overwhelmed us with stories of frozen tundras and zeppelins and all this sort of stuff, which sounds like a fantasy thing. But clearly the conditions in the mining sector have changed totally since the start of 2016. It was like before and after situation. Beginning of this year, the mining sector was in the doldrums. It was a 5-year bear market, let's say. Now there's much more enthusiasm. Do you think that's likely to continue, and how does that affect you, and how does that help you?
Yes, I believe that the markets are going to, excuse me, are going to continue to advance. You can just take a look at the nickel price alone. It's up $1 a pound over the course of the year, and the last, I believe yesterday or the day before, it was $4.75 a pound, about $10,500 a ton. We're seeing a firming of that market. We're also seeing some questions raised out of the Philippines about producing nickel there. So on a price.
The Philippines, they're banning it, or what are they doing?
They're
draconian there.
Yeah, they're shutting down a lot of their nickel operations. I believe that I can't speak for the president of the Philippines directly.
I don't think anybody would want to, apart from him.
Yeah, well, he's an interesting individual. He's taking more of a position like Indonesia, where these are our metals. We need to take the value from them here in the Philippines itself. So we're seeing the metals market, and
so that's great news for you, obviously.
Yeah, it is. I encourage him to shut down as much of the nickel market as he can. They represent about 10% of the world production.
Right.
So it could bode well for us. And then as for our shift towards China, Asia, there's a lot of funding there, and they're very interested in securing reliable, solid, deliverable product that they require to continue their more than 6% growth in the country. So we're quite encouraged, and our first round of negotiations and activities has reaped the profit of this MOU, and we're not done. We're going to continue working as hard as we can to advance this project.
I mean, obviously every CEO thinks that their share price is undervalued, but it seems to be that there's a lot that's happened in the last couple of weeks even, or yes, in the near term. The shares used to be, they peaked at 40p, they're now sort of 3 or 4p. It seems to be that the market's a little bit reticent to accept the good news that's around at the moment. Is that just the sentiment in the sector as a whole, you think, or towards your company? I mean, how do you judge that?
I feel that it's partly the sector. We also have what I would consider to be a heavy Russian discount factor. We are completely apolitical within Russia. We have all the support of the necessary agencies to go into production. Everybody's been cooperative, and we've been working very well together. That isn't visible to the public. So we have the Russia discount. We have the market conditions, and there's always the question of when are you going to be pouring your first nickel ingot. That is through the work of a definitive feasibility study.
Right, so they're just waiting. They want to actually see they have the ingot in their hand, or whatever it's called. I mean, they want to be able to hold it in front of them. Right. Okay. And just finally, I mean, there's a big binary event happening next week. Does that affect you at all, Trump or Clinton? Anyone you prefer?
I don't know either of them, so it doesn't affect me personally. It's been a very entertaining political season to watch. Unfortunately, or maybe I should say fortunately, I'm spending a lot of time in China and Russia now, and I don't have the opportunity to be inundated by the political commercials that are, I'm sure, racing through the airwaves right now.
All right, so you've missed out. Well, apparently one of the candidates has quite strong connections with the Russians, but we'll leave that as it is. But in the meantime, Robin Young, CEO at Amur Minerals, thank you very much for coming in today and updating us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Zach.
We'll be back after the break.